Commence primary ignition.
Hi, I'm Angus McGinnis. I play John Dutch Van Gold Eater. I want to welcome you to the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hello there. Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another Celebration News Desk. I'm Mark Von Olen, and I'm joined by Gary O'Toole from Blabba the Hut. Gary, I hear it is a beautiful day in Ireland. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, buddy. Celebration is coming up quick.
Less than 2 weeks, which is crazy. I'm not even going, and I'm already like, there's so much to do.
Yeah,
um,
there's so much to do and so much to see, but we've got little bit of a good weather / heat wave in Ireland this week, so that's what I'm holding on to for not going to celebration. So hopefully that'll continue. With it being Ireland, it won't. But we live in hope.
We are at the hopefully the tail end of winter finally. It's been chaotic over here, but I'm so
Mhm.
ready for summer. I'm ready for celebration. I'm ready for all the other stuff that's happening this summer. There's a million things going on. I obviously San Diego Comic-Con is always in July, but then we also have Rebel Scum Con happening in August. So there's like a nice series of events coming up Star Wars related.
Mhm.
But yeah, today on the show, we're going to talk about the impending event, all things related to Japan, which includes not just Celebration, but the Not So Virtual Cantina meetup, the Disney meetup that's happening, all the other fun stuff that's going on. Last week, we talked about all the vendors coming. This week, we're going to talk about the products that they have, so the exclusives and things like that, as well as some other general announcements. But outside of that, like I think it was a relatively light week in terms of Star Wars news. I can't remember the exact timing, but I know we're going to be getting the Tales of the Underworld. That was the big news, and I think we talked about that last week. I can't remember anymore.
No, we didn't actually get into it, but we had mentioned on previous shows that for how long now has there been murmurs and whispers of new animated products? So obviously
hmm
that's come home to roost now. But one huge bit of news was Star Wars Outlaws is coming to the Switch 2.
Oh,
So
assuming we ever get a
gamers
Switch
happy
too.
with that.
Yeah.
Well, apparently pre-orders in the US have stopped over the tariffs, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah. You're obviously in Ireland. I don't think you're in quite the trade war that the US is with everyone else on the planet.
Oh, we are your trade war czar hates us. He claims that we have made billions out of the tech industry. A lot of the US tech companies, their European hub is in Ireland and in particular in
Mm,
Dublin.
mm.
So yeah, we're not liked in terms of your trade czar that he says we've taken you all for billions. So yeah.
Oh, have at it. I'm really in a camp where I don't believe anything being said by anyone in the government at this point because it's all nonsense. And
Yeah.
so as soon as they say they don't like someone, I was like, oh, they might be my new best friend. Let me go Google them. And it turns out they're like usually either innocuous or actually doing something positive for the world, which is why they would be hated by our current government. So
Yeah,
yeah, we're eh,
yeah, you're hanging on, like, not to get into too much politics, but when tariffs are imposed on uninhabited islands, that's where I kind of draw the line at that.
the penguins in Madagascar are going to be pissed. Um,
Yep.
so weirdly enough, we have a factory in Madagascar, and Madagascar is on the tariff list. And then there's that uninhabited island of penguins that was somehow also on the tariff list. That's how you can tell that like we're being governed by the stupidest people. It's not even like there's no deniability at this point, no plausible deniability that like it was a basic, oh, we just missed something. Now this is like par for the course with the rest of the idiocy. And I'm sort of over it. Like I know we say all the time we're not political. I will I will ask everyone to read that scroll from Phantom Menace again and see what happened. Trade routes being taxed, leading to the rise of fascism and all the other shit that followed. George Lucas was right. God damn it. I hate when that happens. I hate it so much. And it's so frustrating. But yeah, here we are at the start of Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and when people say Star Wars wasn't inspired by politics, I'm going, well, you might want to look at a different point of view with that. But,
Hmm.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I will say, despite all of the yeah, the tariffs on Octo, oh my God, those poor Spencer, you're killing me. That is the funniest. That is the best Star Wars connection and funniest pun we have so far. Because everyone at my job was talking about the penguins in Madagascar. That was like the immediate reference. But you're right, it's the porgs who are going to be paying through the nose for their cuteness. That's what we're going to
Yep.
tax. But yeah, outside of real life kerfuffle with all of that, because I agree. I was waiting for the Switch too. I was like so ready. And then they're like, oh, pre-orders are on hold. I will say, if you can motivate the gamers, because gamers are a notoriously, um, I guess, combustible fandom is the best way to put them. Like, regardless of what types of games you play, whether they're first person shooter or strategy games, like if you're a streamer, these people are reactive. So if you're going to even postpone the pre-order, there's going to be buildings set on fire, the likes of what you're not going to see. They should be out in the street protesting, or at the very least saying something on YouTube. So maybe we can activate those angry gamers to do something useful. Um, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it kind of just makes you wonder. But we're in a crazy world right now, so thank God we have our little Star Wars universe that we can
Mhm.
dive into in just a couple of short days.
Exactly. It'll take away all the we'll do a little bit of escapism for a bit. And with that in mind, we do want to talk about what's coming in Japan because there is a lot to be excited about. Before the show even starts, there's a plan for people to meet up at Disney. Speaking of escapism, actually, I want to touch on CinemaCon real quick. Don't you think that despite the fact that Disney's had an up and down year, and let me tell you, Snow White is like doing nothing for them right now. It is a hotbed of talking about political, talking about
Yep.
problems, you name it.
Hmm.
I don't even want to get into it because this is not the channel for that. But I think they kind of won CinemaCon for 26. Like they've got Doomsday. There's a new Spider-Man movie, and I know that's Sony, but it still ladders up to the IP of Marvel.
Yep.
They've got The Mandalorian and Grogu. They've got a live-action Moana. They've got Toy Story 5. I think Zootopia 2 actually comes out at the end of this year. I can't
Utopia
remember,
2
but
being announced as well. Elio is
yeah.
even coming out soon. I thought there would have been something about that. That's
Hmm.
another one.
Yeah, there's some good stuff coming. And look, the House of Mouse has its ups and downs like all studios. I mean, Sony's kind of going through it right now, and I think without Spider-Man, they'd be on the brink of bankruptcy. But they're going to do a Sonic 4, which I don't know how much Sony has to do with that so much as they distribute versus produce. I always get
Hmm.
that a little bit like, eh. Um, but I really feel like Disney won the day, more so than Warner Brothers. Like the Superman trailer got good feedback, and I love Superman. I'm very excited about this new movie. But I think overall, I thought that Disney came out the best out of CinemaCon.
Yeah, the one caveat people seem to be a little bit ticked that we didn't get to see more of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Where if you kind of take a step back, I didn't think we were going to. So I'm
No.
sort of not sure where that came from because that was never the priority. That trailer or more info will come out when the powers that be dictate it. But something like
In
CinemaCon,
2 weeks.
but no disrespect to CinemaCon, maybe it's a little bit too small. But I mean, the obvious thing is we've got Celebration coming up.
Mhm.
If ever there was a time to show something, it's gonna be there. So I
Yeah.
don't know why people were getting so miffed.
Well, and by people, it's like which YouTuber today is annoyed that we have to hear about it, right? Which white guy with brown hair and a microphone is screaming into the void this week? Because I'll tell you, CinemaCon was not this big 3 years ago. It was not this big 2 years ago. It's really only exploded in the past couple of years. And if you're Disney or any of the studios, you have CinemaCon, Star Wars Celebration, San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con. There's all these beats to hit. C2E2. There are all these things where you're going to announce streams of content, and Mando Grogu makes the most sense to make a splash at Celebration. So you save
Yep.
that news, just like you said. So we'll hear more about Mando in 2 weeks. We needed to hear about Moana and Frozen and Toy Story and whatever else at CinemaCon because that makes the most sense. And also, the Mando movie is not the only thing that Disney is working on. And in fact, I'd venture to say it's probably middle of the road in terms of revenue it's going to make. I'll be honest, like that movie will make a lot of money, it will not beat Toy Story 5. It will not beat a sequel to Frozen. Inside Out will probably beat it, right? Like, let's be real.
I think film-wise, potentially yes, but when you expand out into the merch and the licensing, that's where it becomes a different ball game entirely.
For Grogu in year one, yeah, but I think right now, I think Frozen still has an edge.
Still
Probably
has
Toy
it.
Story too. It's going to be
Mhm.
close because they're in so many more categories, especially for like little kids. But Star Wars as a total, hard to fight, right? The
Yeah.
impact. I mean, people are flying to Japan. Tens of thousands of people are flying to Japan and go to a convention that happens semi-annually. Like, we are a dedicated crew.
And some people are there already. I've seen so
Yeah.
many people say they're flying out during the week. So,
hmm And part of the reason is they want to do this. They want to go to Disney and all that stuff. So
mhm.
um, let's get into the stuff we wanted to cover this week, specifically around the VCN and everything happening. For anyone who is going early, you can see that the VCN is going to be in the park in Disney. So there are actually two parks, the Tokyo Disneyland, and I've already forgotten the other one. On 2 different days. So on Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning, there's a meetup at the Tower of Terror at 10:30. So there'll be like a group picture, and they're all going to ride the ride together. And then on Wednesday at 10:30, Wednesday, April 16th. So this is the sort of 2 days before celebration starts. There'll be a meetup at Star Tours. So if anyone's going, you do have to buy your own tickets. There wasn't like a big group ticket purchasing situation. It was really just if you're going to Disney, and I know a lot of people are on those 2 days, that's where you can meet up with everyone else from the group.
Nice.
And then continuing in the pre-show extravaganza, obviously the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition is happening on that Thursday. There's a lot already announced of all the different actors that are coming to do meet and greets. There's going to be dinner and open bar and all sorts of fun stuff. It is sold out. There are Lightning Lane tickets available at the door as people leave due to the capacity of the building. But the big news on this one are 2 pieces of news. First, if you don't know how to get there, if you want to travel with a friend or meet up with people, our very own Mike Delicard, who you guys probably know as the host of the Jedi Archives, and he's been doing the after show. He's a very active member in the Facebook group. He is going to be the valet, so to speak, to get you over to the Not So. So we're going to meet up in the lobby of the Bay Makurai at 6:15, and then everyone's going to head on over to the event afterwards. So hopefully we get him that hat, because I
I
think
was
that
about
hat
to
is
say
Photoshop.
breaking news. I can exclusively reveal Mike will be dressed like that. He will be
Yeah.
wearing that hat, and he will be holding that sign.
We are going to have a sign, and we definitely have to get him that hat. I spoke to Mike last night about something unrelated, and I was like, we got to get you that hat for the trip. Another thing to pack. But yeah, this will be good to have everyone sort of walk over together. It's not that far. It's like basically a half a mile. So it's probably a 10-15 minute walk at most.
Yeah,
And
and I
then
mean it is Japan, so technically anything far away is not so far away with how
yeah.
brilliant the transport system is. So no issues there.
Yeah. So, and if you're worried about just walking around by yourself, maybe you're a solo traveler. Maybe you're one of the OB1, what is it, the O by oneself? That's our subgroup. Maybe you're one of those guys. This would be a great place to meet up with like-minded people. Get to know everyone from the group, have a little discussion before you get into the event, and start meeting all the celebrities and everything. So
Yeah.
Mike will be our valet for that. And then when you get there, our big piece of breaking news is we've announced our headline guest. This is Katie O'Brien. Katie is coming to Japan, I think partially to celebrate an event of some
Her
type. I don't know
honeymoon.
if yeah, it is. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was on the internet yet that she is going on her honeymoon in Japan during celebration. And so she's just going to swing on over to the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition and for meet and greets and to meet all of you lovely people. So very excited to see Katie there.
Yep, a great guy.
Yeah, she's fun too. I've hung out with her at a few different shows. She's just awesome, and we had her at the family vacation last year. She's been at Rhode Island Comic Con. She's terrific. Okay, next up on the pre-show kind of stuff, there is a baseball game. I don't know anything about Japanese baseball. Like it's not in my wheelhouse at all. Obviously, baseball is huge in Japan, though, and of course, with Star Wars Celebration happening, there's going to be a Star Wars night. So the Marines, I think that's the hometown team, are playing the Fighters. I don't know anything about this. That being said, Japan takes Star Wars very seriously and baseball very seriously. And just based on this poster, like they got Yoda versus Darth Vader on the poster. This looks really fun.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I don't know if people are around April 16th that evening. Maybe if you're not at Disney, I'm sure this is sold out, the baseball game, but like you got to give it a try.
Probably fair to say as well, there will be a lot of people who use those first 2 days to try and get over the jet lag and get their bearings. So
Hmm.
probably a good opportunity to do it if that's not sold out. Would be a nice one to see, something different, something totally outside the norm.
Yeah, and it's just like um, close enough to things that we do in America, where it's like, oh, it's a baseball game. We play baseball,
Hmm.
but like it's going to be a slightly different experience over in Japan, right?
Yep.
So I think yeah, you ease your way in. Chris is asking a good question. Do they have bobbleheads? Um, I don't know. I didn't bother to go to the website or learn a thing about these people, so I should have done that beforehand. So we'll go learn about some stuff about the Marines and the fighters and see what they have going on there. I love that like big coach in the background though, or that big play, whoever that is, like this imposing giant player over here,
The
and then the
Emperor.
lightsabers. Like, yeah, they're really treating him like the Emperor over here. This is crazy. This poster's like really captures Star Wars in a way that I was not
Hmm.
expecting. So I bet you there are bobbleheads, but I can't guarantee it.
There will be at Celebration. That's probably one thing we can guarantee. If ever you're looking for a good bobblehead, there
Hmm.
will be plenty of vendors that'll have those.
Yeah, absolutely. And then while you're at Celebration, one thing I wanted to make sure everyone knew about, Saturday, April 19th, this is when we're going to take the family portrait picture for the virtual cantina. We've done this at all the other celebrations, and of course, we do it at all the other big events like the VCN vacation. We always take good pictures at meetups and stuff. This will be the official portrait. You will not want to miss this. I mean, you can see in the lightsaber one at the family vacation, there's got to be 80 people in that picture. It was wild. So this will obviously be prominently splattered all over the Facebook page and all of our other social media posts, and will be covered extensively on the news desk, of course. So you won't want to miss this. One other piece of breaking news, Gary, what'd you think about this?
This is probably the least surprising thing of anything that could happen at Celebration. When you're talking big time actors like this, and probably fair to say, Mark, as we've discussed, he was one of the pretty much what we would class as being one of the A-listers for this event.
Hmm.
An actor who's this much in demand, it's no surprise that their schedules change last minute. It is one of the most common things that's happened. It's not the first celebration it's happened at, and it's not the last one, certainly, that it's going to happen at. People are obviously going to be bummed out, but if you get your refund, what it gives you back is obviously money, but it may also give you more time to see the shop floor and explore something different that you may not have gotten the chance to. So, these things do happen, but turn this into a positive as best you can. People are obviously going to be devastated that they're not going to be able to get their photo op or autograph with Oscar. But as one door closes, another may open. So don't miss out on utilizing the time and the expense to do something else and make it worthwhile.
Yeah, you can buy a lot of good merch with your refund on this one. I'm also not super surprised. It is disappointing because I would say him and Diego were the two headliners
A-listers.
for sure,
Yeah.
and the ones who you won't find anywhere else on the circuit. Like he's never done a signing really. Like it's
Hmm.
been very few and far between. Um, my suspicion, and again, I have no insider information, but my suspicion is that given that they just announced all those chairs for Doomsday, is he could be filming something for Doomsday. And if he were, and you know what's so funny is if they put out his chair and it just said Oscar Isaac, you could make the guess as to whether he was playing Moon Knight or Apocalypse and maybe be correct, right? Like he could be in Doomsday as either one of those characters, and that would be interesting in either way because Moon Knight has a lot of control over the cosmos, it seems. And Apocalypse is Apocalypse and Doomsday is like the same thing, right? Like it's the end of the world. So I don't know how you would work that in, but or what the plan is for Doomsday. But yeah, Chris, I was thinking Moon Knight most likely since that's his MCU counterpart. But if we're trying to bring in more X-Men or like show some of the first class people, because they announced no first class people, it
Mm-mm.
was all OG X-Men.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they're keeping that time frame. I don't know. Either way, this was obviously disappointing, but um, like Gary said, we can do some more shopping.
Yeah.
All right. So Gary, overall, what'd you think of the store exclusives? There's a good chunk of them coming. You have like a couple favorites or anything in mind that you particularly wanted to talk about?
Um, I do like a good headphone. That's probably one where I would be gravitating towards. My big thing sort of would have been the art store. Now, there's nothing particularly this year on the exclusive list that I sort of would have gravitated towards. But was it the fan and the lantern would be two that I would probably try and snap up. Just something small, something cool. Because when it comes to exclusives, I'm thinking stuff that travels easy.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's why the pins are a big winner.
Yeah.
We didn't put the art store stuff in for this week, but we are going to do that next week.
Yeah.
Excuse me, as we get ready for our that'll be the weekend before basically everyone leaves. So it'll be our recap show. It'll be the last minute stuff that we haven't covered, any other breaking news, and we'll have all the artist info in there as well. For this week, we went to the Celebration website, which I will say, they had this wasn't on the Celebration website. This was on StarWars.com is where we got this. It was a showcase of all of the exclusive items, both in the Celebration store and the exclusives announced by the vendors who were attending, but it didn't look comprehensive. Because if you guys remember, we were on air last week for well over an hour and a half going vendor by vendor by vendor, and actually trying to find some of the Star Wars connections on some of them. But only a very select few had exclusive items that were listed on the StarWars.com article. So maybe they didn't get their information over to the PR team in time, or they don't know what they're bringing, or they're not bringing exclusives and they're just bringing mainline merch. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, this info probably should have been out there a heck of a lot sooner. Again, allowing people to plan, but it is nice to see at least what we're gonna have.
Yeah, and there's some cute shirts. Look, I love a t-shirt. And right off the bat, like there were 4 very Japanese inspired Celebration store t-shirts, interesting designs. The Samurai Vader, the Darth Vader badge. They're both Samurai Vader, basically, just different interpretations. The Death Star, and then the X-wing shirt. I love that Death Star shirt with the red, like, because you can tell that immediately screams Japan. So smart.
Yeah, that was the one I would be going for as well. The only thing I don't like is on the Vader badge, I don't think the white border does anything. I think
Yeah.
if that was missing and it just melded into one, because that literally to me just looks like a potential copy and paste.
Yeah, it should be an all over print. Like that whole thing should like wrap around and just like continue the night sky, make the night sky the full background of that shirt.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting to that, like the all over printing, like Roosevelt's does that pretty well. Like there's a few other retailers or manufacturers that have started doing that, as opposed to just like the black T-shirt with the stamp. Yeah, I'd love to see that as an execution instead. There was also one other T-shirt that was not part of like a Japanese inspired collection. This actually felt very like soccer club or something. Like, yeah, it's the Mando logo from like
the
season
shield.
1. Yeah, like that's cool. I like it. It's the Mando season 1 logo, basically, just stylized.
And that's probably going to go for a premium price as well, considering it's show exclusive.
Yeah, which is
store
crazy.
exclusive, I should say. Yeah.
So it's interesting that it's not Mando Grogu movie logo, but all right, the next one, her universe has 2 items. One is women's wear. It's the puff sleeve dress, which has this kind of all over print. You can see some lightsabers on there. It's got the Rebel logo on there, the Imperial logo, the Jedi logo, a lot of logos. And then they have a men's windbreaker, and it says
The
in a
windbreaker is
galaxy far,
beautiful.
far away. Oh, it's gorgeous, right?
And you
and
know
I'm
these 2 are potentially going to go day 1.
easily. You know what's so interesting? Her universe is not a vendor at the show, but they have 2 items in the Celebration store. And Ashley's attending, but there isn't like a Her Universe booth. And I wonder if it's because they don't actually really sell in Japan. It's probably part of the reason. But like these 2 items, that windbreaker is gorgeous.
It is.
And I'm
It's beautiful.
surprised we haven't seen something like that before. That's what's so crazy. That feels like so like accessible. It doesn't seem like super, super unique, but Her Universe makes amazing items. Everything I've gotten from them has been incredibly high quality.
Yeah, it's always a welcome addition. Surprisingly, with this one, they didn't show front and back, which usually for Her universe they do. So, is it a case that the design continues on the back, or is it completely plain? And we can notice the different in the stripes on the elbows. Is it going to be a pattern? Is it just an elbow pad? What is it? But yeah, day 1 purchase for a lot of people, I would say.
Without a doubt. I need to start I need to figure out who's going to be my my merch mule, as it were, and start Venmoing some money. Um, Next up was very, very cute. This Darth Vader light up backpack. I could see the Loungefly people and like the ladies who like use these as like purses and stuff losing their mind for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'd use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd
Yep.
use it. I don't care if it's for kids, for whoever.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
use it.
Yeah, apparel is slightly gendered and accessories slightly less so. I just know there's a huge female contingent of collectors specifically around these types of bags, but I was amazed at how many men had them too, and they'll have them next to their helmets and stuff. Like it's kind of like, oh, we don't like gender norms disappear once it comes to Darth Vader and certain types of collectibles, which is cool. Like and I got to say like this would make a great display piece on a shelf even if you don't use it as a bag.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll be looking at this one, and everyone has seen the Chopper Loungefly that's going to be
Mhm.
coming out as well. They're going to be two of the hot commodities, I would say, in terms of bags this year.
I need to get that chopper. My only thing that I really want to collect is Rebels, which there's still not enough of. But I am really enjoying Pot of Rebellion. I think the show is getting better every episode. So I'm getting my Rebels fix weekly,
Yep.
which is nice. I still need merch. That's the only thing that's really lacking at the moment.
We always need merch, let's be honest.
It's true. Um, And so I have two. So at first I was like, oh, I'll put the Grogu stuff together. But the skateboard deck is actually main Yoda. He's just a little bit stylized, but it's cool that they're doing an exclusive skateboard deck from Bear Walker. Um, and it's got the Star Wars Celebration Japan logo on there. And then
Hmm.
there's a charm of Grogu. And it looks almost
I thought it
like a
was an air
luggage hang
freshener, being
tag.
honest.
Yeah, I thought it was a luggage hang tag. So I don't know. I also don't know how expensive it is. They didn't have any prices because I was like, oh, that's really cute. You can kind of put that anywhere. So if you're thinking about low cost, easy to transport, not going to break, like you could probably get, hopefully they have millions of those because I think those are really cute.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see what the numbers are capped at this time, with it not being as big and as an expansive show as we thought it was going to be. I wonder just how
Hmm.
limited the editions will be.
Yeah. And if they're going to do a maximum on, like, I feel like the t shirts always have like, can't buy more than five. And then most exclusive retailers on the floor is like you can't buy more than two. And then on the final day, they're like, take everything if they still have anything left, but because they try to spread it out.
Yep.
But yeah, if we find out about that in the interim, we'll bring that to the next show.
There we go. There's the lantern.
So this is what you were interested in, the very Japanese inspired stuff.
Yeah, just really, really nice. Probably not going to break the bank, but also I'd imagine that would travel pretty easily.
Hmm. And I'm glad there's at least one piece of Acolyte merch in here, with Chimere and Soul. I feel like yeah, it's just it's a notebook, so it's just sort of a print, but it feels very Japan, and it
Did it
really
actually
captures.
specifically say what size it was? Was it an A3 or an A4? I don't think it mentioned it at all, did it?
No, there's almost no information. That's what kills me too. Is like, so here's the thing: as a licensee, I receive these types of requests regularly. Like every
Yeah.
month or something, it's like, hey, what products do you have for May the 4th? What sale are you running? What's your promotion? Are you doing anything for I Am Your Father's Day? What do you have planned for Star Wars for San Diego Comic-Con? And there's like all of these fields to fill out in like a giant Excel file, and it goes to like someone in the marketing team, and then it gets compiled and it goes on a StarWars.com article. Where the hell's the information? Because I know I've filled out stuff where I like write this much and then like the decision is it includes a little bit or maybe not at all or the prices aren't included or whatever else. But like you're right. What's the size of this notebook? How much does it cost? How many are they making? If it's exclusive, is there a limited print run? Can we only get it there at the show or is it like a first to market? In some cases they were like listed out as first to market and in other cases exclusive, but not everything was clarified that way. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you think they'd even list whether it's going to be hardback or paperback, just even for
Yeah.
the weight and the dimension, so people can plan accordingly for their
Mhm.
luggage space.
Exactly. And also, like, the picture sizes and qualities are all over the place. And I know I'm guilty of that sometimes where they're like, oh, I need a high res image. And I was like, what format, what size, dimensions, whatever. And, sometimes they want a high res, whatever. And I was like, well, I've got this shitty JPEG. Here you go. And, for web, it's usually fine. But like, it's kind of crazy how there's so little information about each of these items. And it's not even on the Celebration site. It's on the StarWars.com site in their articles section, which at this point, there's so much news. Like, I don't even think it's on the main page anymore. So that's where it makes me crazy. Like, trying to pull this together, I feel like we're doing investigative journalism over here, trying to make this so everyone can be ready and see what's going to happen. Because you don't want to show up and be surprised. I mean, you want to be surprised about certain things, but you don't want to think like, what if you really want like some of this stuff and you don't have the luggage space, or you didn't bring enough money, or you don't know there's a print run and it's going to sell out and you're going to be annoyed by it. Like, I want to have this information going in. There's some stuff you should know about and be able to plan for, like the panels, the merchandise, and then other things can be surprises, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is their bread and butter stuff, so every point of information should be available on the website. But again, as we said in many, many shows, one thing that we haven't gotten is the website doesn't seem to be as updated as often as it should be or flow the
Hmm.
way it does. But again, that's just another point of contention within these conventions. So I suppose it's not so much of a surprise in that sense.
Yep. No, totally. That's exactly how I feel. And I was going through the the website again because they did just announce the app, and I was going to wait till next week to talk about the app, but I think it's worth mentioning that the app is now out, and it is, I think, the same app that you had for Celebration London, just reskinned and updated. Because I think people were opening the app and it was coming up with all the London information, and it took a minute to like cycle correctly. And given all the and you saw the offline, so everyone in the chat, I had a lot of trouble with my phone this week. I was very lucky that I was due for an upgrade. So I basically got a free conversion up to the iPhone 16, which is like the latest model. That's so cool. It never aligns for me this way, where like I'm due for an upgrade and I was able to like get a nice new phone, and I finally have like my other phone. I like literally crack the camera lens. How do you do that? Like it was bad. So all that to be said, nothing wanted to work. Like we got it, the replacement phone, transferred over the information. I wasn't receiving text messages. I was missing calls. It was going to my old phone. We talked to 7 different people at Verizon over the course of 5 days. Like it went on and on. And for everything secure, I'm sure you guys all do this with like the multi-authentication. I log into a website to check out like um, assets for property or to put in a submission for something that I'm working on at work, and it sends a push notification to my phone, and it'd be like, hey, what's the 6-digit code to make sure you can get in? And then it's going to my old phone. So I'm calling my husband being like, what does my old phone say the 6-digit code is? So he's there with my phone looking at the stuff. It went on and on and on and on. So I'm like, oh, right as this is happening, I'm not even going to bother downloading this app yet because it is chaotic and terrible and everyone is going through it. And I think within the next 2 or 3 days, it needs to be sorted because we're less than 2 weeks away from the show.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of people will not download it as soon as it comes out. They'll wait for a couple of updates to be pushed before the
Yeah.
exact same thing happened from moving from Star Wars Celebration in London to Orlando. When it literally downloaded, it was literally the London app until up to a point,
Yeah.
everything changed over. So
Yeah.
maybe
And I'll have
hold off a couple of days.
please. And we're going to do a little investigative journalism on this as well early next week because originally all the panels were still in there from London or something. Like it was just not where it needed to be. Now, I will say if you go to the website, it does give you directions on how to get the app, how to download it. There's a droid hunt thing that you can play. That's actually the scavenger hunt that I was talking about. So they're droid hunt QR codes in halls 1 through 7. It doesn't really have a lot of details other than that. De Novo is part of the digital scavenger hunt. So I'm hoping to have a better explanation for all of that next week, along with our discussion on like the art show and the other things that are happening. What else was the other thing? Oh yeah, the anime pavilion. So those are the things we're going to talk about next week, but hopefully the app will be ready so we can actually give everyone clear instructions. Download the app, add in your stuff. If you already have registration, shouldn't like if you're registered for the panel, shouldn't it be in there like on your app? I would think.
I would say as soon as that happened and as soon as that went live, everything should be linked.
Yeah, I would think so.
God forbid logic ever comes into the equation.
I know. Meanwhile, I love all right, this is me just being petty now. Hayden Christensen's not a guest. Oh, no, he is a guest this year. Okay. He's there for a couple different days. It was Ewan that's not a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, I was looking at the picture and I was like, why is Hayden's picture the the picture for guests if he wasn't going, but he's going. It's Ewan that's not going. Okay, back to the app. All right, so we're going to talk about the app next week. The next slide, continuing with our show exclusives. And again, these are the exclusives that are in the Celebration store. This was the folding screen and the Ahsoka Tano fan.
The
I thought
fan is
these were also really
beautiful.
cool. Fan is gorgeous. Probably my favorite. I'm looking at the bigger screen over here. Probably my favorite design out of everything that we just went through.
The designs though have been beautiful, sort of the Japanese inspired art. It's been a nice change up from the normal stylings that we would see. So highly sought after collectibles, which will go fast.
Oh, for sure. I think that fan will sell out. Like, it, depending, as you said, if they're going to hold product for each of the days, I think that could go day one.
Yeah, definitely, completely
All right,
agree.
this is for you because you were waxing poetic about them last week.
Yeah, just such a solid company. Their vinyl record players, are amazing, and their tech is really, really good. So it's nice to see them doing the earbuds, and I would imagine whoever was in their sales slash creative department who were working on this project, they no doubt had in mind that they'd make something that easily travels if people were to buy. It's
Hmm.
not some exclusive collectible that weighs £25 that people won't get into their case. And I'd imagine these might be in larger quantities for the simple reason it is something that they can ship out of stock really, really quickly.
Yeah, and everyone always loses or forgets their headphones when they're traveling. Could you imagine boarding the flight to Japan and not having your headphones? I would die. I would just you'd scream for 16 hours. Like there's only so many shitty movies, but even then, if you don't have headphones, what are you gonna do? Um, these are really cute. From what I could tell, it's R2, Vader, Yoda or
Yoda,
Grogu
yeah.
is Yoda,
I think it's
and the
Yoda.
Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, it has to be. It's the best car colors, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely Mando. The gray and the sort of charcoaly kind of, yeah. But yeah, R2 is probably my favorite. Even though it's really just the case, there's like very little blue on the headphones, but the green is immediately recognizable as something different. So these are
Hmm.
cute. And we're
Yeah,
into
and
the uh, licensee exclusives on the floor now. So this won't be in the store. You'll have to actually go to their booth to go to the Audio Technica booth.
these will be pricey, I would say, is the only caveat.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I haven't met a cheap item yet from Star Wars. Although the fig pins are pretty affordable. So these were first to market according to the website, meaning they'll be debuted at Celebration and then they should be able to be sold elsewhere. And they listed all these characters. Here's what kills me. They listed all these characters: Ahsoka Tano, Darth Maul, Rey, BB-8, Greedo, and Jabba the Hutt. Who's the picture?
Yep, first thing we spotted. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. Like, is that going to be a mystery pin? Is that something that's going to come further down the line, or
Yeah. Is
what?
Chewie one of them? Is Chewie with C-3PO an actual pin, or have they already done that pin? Like that's what kills me. Like someone should have given that a once over. I read the thing and I was like, oh, look at all these weird characters. I was like, wait a minute, that picture doesn't match any of that character listing. That seems so basic to me. It kills me.
Yeah, but with these ones as well, it doesn't seem to follow any particular trend.
Oh,
We're jumping from Ahsoka to Maul to Rey, and then we've Greedo and Jabba in the equation. I mean, why not Jabba and Salacious B. Crumb? Something together. There seems to be no continuity
yeah.
to it as such.
Greedo is by far the most outlier because at least the others have some type of stream of content coming. Like you can make the case that like we're going to see Ahsoka in season 2. Um, Darth Maul is rumored to be in Ahsoka season 2.
Hmm.
Rey has the new movie. BB-8 will be with Rey. Jabba the Hutt
Yeah,
is supposedly going to be, or not Jabba the Hutt, but other Hutts are going to be in the Mando movie. What the hell's Greedo doing in here? I don't know. Oh, maybe he's in the Tales of the Underworld at some point. I get maybe Jabba could be in that too. I don't know. By the
there's a
way,
shout.
Darth Maul could be in Tales of the Underworld. He was running the Crimson Dawn for a bit. Um, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes, but either way, they make great stuff. So I'm not mad at them. I'm just confused.
This is one that I think will go quickly, especially with the black and white look. It's beautiful, it's different, and the Ronin in terms of an episode was amazing for
Mhm.
Visions.
That's the one we're getting the sequel to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Um,
think. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one they said. Because so for a reminder for everyone, if you haven't watched Visions, go do yourself a favor and watch some Visions. They are really interesting. They are not canon. They are inspired by the lore of Star Wars and then put through the lens of in season one anime studios. And then in season two, other animation studios from across the world. So in season three, it's coming back to anime, and the episode that featured the character the Ronin has a sequel episode coming in season three. So that's the tie-in here. So here we go. This is the right way to do it. We've got a stream of content that's hitting that everyone loves and is excited about, and this character's returning. It fits nicely in the Japanese aesthetic. The Black Series should be for things that are special, not just every character ever made, right? Like the idea of every character ever made should be in like the vintage line or just like your standard action figures. Black Series is supposed to be special, and then to then make it in black and white. I mean, this is just perfect. Great job, Hasbro. This is what I want to see.
That's probably going to be one where there'll be the debate of should I open it or should I keep it sealed?
I know he looks really good posed in the box. There are times when it's like the decision to open the box depends on like what the pose is and how good they look. And if I have it in me to actually like dust these figures because I have too much stuff that's collecting dust already. But I feel like he makes a good display piece. That box is really nice.
Yeah, but then the question is everything that we've gone through so far, we don't know how many per person they're going to allow. So what's going to be the situation with scalpers? You know, are they going to allow
Mm.
one per person or two items per person when it comes to this? Because something like this, people will try and get multiples of.
Oh, for sure. I would try to buy three. And I have a couple people on my list who I would, either sell to at cost or send as a gift. But you could definitely triple this price. So if this was a $40 item, and it's probably about 40, maybe 30, whatever it is. Although tariffs, um, I think there are people who are willing to pay $80 for this.
Oh, they would easily.
Yeah, which is
And these are
crazy.
ones where they don't appreciate in value, they go up.
Yeah, certainly these types will. I am curious to see what else will Hasbro do at the show. If I'm going to be placing bets on who's going to really make a splash and announce something big at the show, I feel like Hasbro almost has to. Like the Ghost was such a win at Celebration 2023, and I would say the stuff that they've done since then, at least within Star Wars, has not gotten the same amount of like excitement. I think. Am I right in saying that? I don't know. I feel like they could announce a HasLab for something at Celebration and maybe Mando related and prep for the movie. Like, what if they were going to do Mando ship as a HasLab, like the
That would
original?
be
You know.
the only thing that I would pause at that is if you remember the first time the HasLab Razor Crest was announced, it
Mm.
was phenomenal, and then people bought it, and 2 episodes later,
Ah, yeah, that's
gone.
right. That's right.
So
They
they'll
blew it
probably
up.
avoid that like the plague.
Yeah. So correct. I forgot they had done the Mando ship already. I don't know what else you do. And I'm also not close enough. Maybe they have plans, maybe they don't, but I could see them. If I'm betting, Lego's going to obviously reveal something, right? And it'll be great because it's Lego. I think Hasbro could wow everyone with something gigantic. Um, maybe if we're talking Ahsoka, maybe there's a Ahsoka ship. Maybe there's not a ship, but there's some type of diorama thing leading into from Ahsoka season one or season two. Maybe there's something Thrawn related with his like army of stormtrooper zombies. I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that they could win with that ties into the current content. I wouldn't say a skeleton crew ship would make sense, but I don't know.
No, perhaps the usual Corvette that came along at the end, but apart from that, no. I would love to see. You know what? Still to this day, I live and hope we're going to get something more Mortis related. And I
Mm.
think what happened in Ahsoka, it would be a perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah, let's get the statues and actually go to Mortis. I think that could be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still hoping against hope that like Ahsoka season two is largely the journey to Mortis, and that's where we're gonna find out Ahsoka is the daughter or is entangled in the daughter, and when she finally like dies, she'll ascend to become the daughter. Like I feel like that has to be the path for her. Um, I don't know. Like she is kind of a god within Star Wars at this point, so I would love to see it. But yeah, my money's on Hasbro doing something really interesting. Um, Also, in the interesting action figure bucket area, we've got Jazzwares. They've got their Micro Galaxy Squadron. They are also doing something for Visions, which makes a lot of sense. This would be the place that you would reveal this.
The box artwork is beautiful as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like again, highly collectible and will largely get scalped. So I don't know what their policy is going to be for purchases, but I could see this one going for well above market value.
And that's the first one I think that we've seen there is limited to 3,000.
Oh, see, is that listed on the website? Yeah.
It's listed on the box there. It's listed actually on the packaging, top left
Oh my
corner.
God, that's right. There it is, one of 3,000. I fully just didn't even look at that. Yeah. It's rare that things get numbered anymore. So that'll be cool to see. And people are going to chase down like they want 66. They're going to want 1,977. They're going to want 2025. They're going to it's going to be crazy. People like chasing down those specific numbers.
Yeah.
All right, next one up from Lego, who we were just talking about. I love Lego. They're doing a gift with purchase, and it's this exclusive tile. I don't know how big it is. It's probably just going to be a standard size tile.
It's tiny. It's that size.
Yeah.
The one that we got at the last two celebrations are still up online on eBay for something like 200-300 quid.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Make your own. Stamp it with a little stamp. I'm not telling. By the way, I'm not telling people to pirate or make fraud. But
Yeah, no,
what are we doing?
those little exclusive Lego tiles go for serious money.
Yeah. Oh, all the Lego stuff that we ever bought that my husband then assembled and then disassembled and then put it back in the box and eventually just want to get rid of them. He's probably flipped all of them for triple the SRP. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, this was nice. It was a great decor piece for a few years. I'm either going to pack it up or get rid of it. And then you go on eBay and it's like, oh, wow, damn. We accidentally this is what we should put all of our 401k money into is Lego. It's the only thing that's not falling off a cliff at the moment. Yeah, so I would love a Lego brick, but I understand that you have to buy something first of all, and they probably have limited numbers, and yeah, they'll go for huge money on the second market.
My hope is, and I suspect this one is not going to sell out because of the cost of it, and it will be redistributed because the exact same thing happened at Celebration when they announced the Grogu Ladro.
Hmm.
It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be exclusive, and then all of a sudden it just popped up on Ladro themselves. So I'd imagine this is going to cost a pretty penny, and to try and get this thing home with the weight of Ladro,
Oof, yeah,
unless it fits in your hand luggage, good luck.
yeah, exactly. That's gonna be
It's gorgeous though.
yeah. It is beautiful. I love Vader in white, and the cherry blossoms look incredible. The red circle on the back, very Japan. You can see, I'm assuming that's Mount Fuji.
Well, Fuji,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I'm sure there's more than one mountain in Japan, but that seems to be the one that makes it onto all of the, photography and merch and everything. Yeah, this is insane. This would be an incredible addition to anyone's collection. What was the next thing on here? Oh, pins. Actually, there's a question about pins in the chat. So Edwin is asking, do we know with all the pins that are coming out, are they going to be for sale or just given out at the booths? My understanding, so there's a pin trading thing, but the pins that we're talking about that are exclusive are being sold by the various pin manufacturers. Let me find the pin trading thing on the website. So open this up right now. So if you go to the Celebration website, which is StarWarsCelebration.com, here's the description of the official pin trading. Embrace the exciting fan tradition of pin trading at Celebration. Join the galactic exchange of official Star Wars Celebration Japan pins with staff, crew, and fellow attendees throughout the weekends. The guidelines. Only official Star Wars Celebration Japan pins can be traded with staff and crew members. For safety, please only trade one pin at a time. Ask first. Restrained from touching the pin or lanyard, staff or crew, et cetera, et cetera. And then pins for purchase at the official show store are listed here on the website. And they've got a bunch from the Acolyte, Jekki, Sol, Osha, and Chimere. Ahsoka characters are Balin, Chopper, Hera, and Shin Hati. There's a C3PO pin that comes with the lanyard. And then there's Death Star escape pins, Vader, Han, Obi-Wan, and Stormtrooper. That's obviously from A New Hope. And then there's a Jabba Deluxe pin that comes with the mini Salacious Crumb. There's a Mandalorian set with the Armorer, Bo-Katan, Grief Karga, and Mando. A mystery 2-pack, which could include Admiral Akbar, Boba Fett, Ezra, Grogu, and that's Ezra from Ahsoka, obviously, Mace Windu, Padme, Palpatine, which is very Darth Sidious looking, Rey, a Visions, it just says Visions. I can't believe they didn't give him a character name, but he's black and white. That looks like the Ronin. Yoda, and then there's a staff pin of the Loth Cat. And then there are some sponsored pins where you can head to exhibitor booths to collect exclusive sponsored trading pins. These pins are only available at exhibitor booths. Asajj Ventress, BB-8, Ewok, which that's obviously Wicket, General Grievous, Darth Maul, Fennec Shand, Jawa, Kylo Ren, Lando, and an Ugnaught. And they actually tell you which booths to go to. There's a Tenyo, Blitzway, Enski, Bandai, Topps, iUp, Happy Kuju, Citizen, Stance, and Proudmen. And we covered all of these retailers last week. Only 2 or 3 of them said they were part of the pin trading, right? Like, am I crazy, Gary? We didn't miss this.
No.
So frustrating. And then the Road to Celebration, there's an Ahsoka pin set, an early bird pin set that has Luke, Leia, Han, or Luke, Leia, Chewie, and C-3PO, and then a Revenge of the Sith pin set. The only thing that I've seen celebrating the Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, yep.
Can we talk about that for a second? What are your thoughts on this Revenge of the Sith erasure?
It's strange. You think they would be really pushing it, obviously, because of the reception that Hayden got after everything. Like, you would genuinely think it would be something that they would just, like, at the end of the day, they are a business, money talks, they have to make money. I would genuinely have to suspect that they would push things out to beat the band, because that could be a nice little cash cow for them, but they just don't seem to have done that at all. Now, is there something going to be coming down the line that's why they're holding off, or something that they might announce? But it doesn't look likely based on getting this close, and we haven't we haven't heard everything that's going on. So it's a little bit of a strange one, all right. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it just feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because the also with celebrating the Revenge of the Sith, you could sort of celebrate the entirety of the prequels, and in theory the Clone Wars with it. Like, the 30th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith is the end of the Clone Wars, the end of that time period, and you speak to, like, the extent of, like, the Republic time period and everything that fits in there, which would include Clone Wars, some of the Tales episodes. Like, there's a lot you can take those characters, and, like, we've fallen in love with so many of the characters from that time frame. Like, Padme is among some people's favorite character. The version of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin, who's a different character than Vader. Like, people love Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme. It's crazy that it seems like Lucasfilm does not care.
But I mean, even sort of pressing on and moving away from that, the area between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope is one of the most untapped and maybe most fruitful areas of storytelling that they could get into. You know, what happened just right after Anakin became Vader. Like, let's see more after that, but there doesn't seem to be anything outside of that at all.
Yeah, it's strange, and I don't know how to explain it. I know they're putting Revenge of the Sith back in theaters for a hot minute, but, like, I don't think they're doing much else with it, which is weird.
There's not much fanfare over it at all, apart from Matt Ferguson's poster, which, as usual, is absolutely amazing. There hasn't been a big push around it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very strange. Gary's asking a question, and I'm not 100% sure of this. Where and when do I collect the merch I bought when I got the entry tickets? So if you pre-ordered merchandise, I think you have to pick it up at the store. There should be an email with your receipt that has the details, but my understanding is that that's usually a pickup at the official Celebration store.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing when you pre-order the art. You actually go to the vendor's specific booth within the alley, and they have it put aside for you. That's usually the case.
And yeah, definitely read your receipt, because I think it does vary based on what you bought. Like, if it's the official store versus an individual artist or something, it's probably a different pickup point. And
Yeah,
then there was
the likes
one.
of your pins or your programs, they usually come together, I think, when you pick up your lanyard.
Yep. There was one last piece of merch in the store, and this was another set of pins. These are poster pins, and they're Japanese posters for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then other collectible pins: Padme, Luke, Leia, Han, Vader. All very cool stuff. But I love the artwork in here. Like, this is really neat. It has a little bit of an anime flair while still feeling very true to the feeling and style of Star Wars. And this is what I like when we're able to like play with the brand. Like, it's just flexible enough. Like, that's obviously an anime interpretation, but they're clearly Luke, Leia, Han, and those are clearly Star Wars assets.
I would love to know what size they are. Are they just fridge magnet size where you can see a lot of detailing, or are we talking micro pins where it's like the little slabs like they used to have little hand in carbonite?
Mm.
Depending on the price point for what you get, that's one that could either be an absolute steal or just not worth it at all. So, but again, no details seem to be attached alongside how big they are and whatnot. So that's probably just going to be one where you'll have to make a decision if you're lucky enough to get in front of the booth and they still have them.
Which I think is part of the fun is the treasure hunt. You want to just sort of walk around and see what they have and check it all out. Like, that's my favorite part is the slow meandering into the booths. But I also get how it's frustrating not knowing what's coming or not knowing the details. And again, like, considering having to ship a whole bunch of stuff home. Um, Actually, there's one more piece. There's a few more pieces of merch.
I
One
would
more
have
piece of
thought this was your
merch, but
favorite.
yes. I'm so excited about it. It is a waffle with chocolate, and that's my love language right there. So it's got some celebration packaging, and I guess that's the connection. And I guess it kind of looks like a Death Star or whatever. But Darth Vader's on the box. The box is gorgeous. You'll save the box forever. Eat the cookie. It looks great. If someone can figure out how to smuggle this back for me, I will cover the shipping or whatever other um, costs incur to get that here because I need to try that. Plus, I just want that box. That's very cool.
Yeah, the artwork is beautiful, but I mean, who doesn't love chocolate and waffle cookies?
I know. Come on now. And look, it's always bulking season. Um, and then speaking of food, we're closing out with just a little view of the menu that they have up on the celebration site. That's specifically like the food hall. So
Anyone who's eaten at Dock and Bay 7 will probably be steering clear of these.
yeah, these are very Japan inspired, right? So we've got rice balls. We've got, I mean, these are really fun, right? Light and Dark, Forbidden Love, Jar Jar Main. Like, this is funny. The Wookiee thing is killing me because it like really does like immediately like once you put that bandolier on there, that's Chewy. It's so crazy that just those little bit of noodles, just in a shape and a slightly off color. There we go.
The only
I
thing is,
can't.
why does the Jar Jar men look more like spaghetti bolognese than it does just noodles? Actually, I thought it was spaghetti the first time I seen it. I was like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I thought the same thing, and I was like, oh, there's an Italian item that made it on there. But no, it's noodles. It's Japanese noodles and rice. And look,
Yeah.
I'm a relatively agreeable eater. Like, I'm not super adventurous, but if you said we're doing this, I was like, oh, I'll find something. I'll give it a try. I'm pretty easy when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I can imagine there's going to be people who are be like, where's my cheeseburger or whatever else? And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of food options, but this was the ones that they were specifically pointing out on the website as being like destinations in the food hall. And there are some really interesting drinks, I think, more than anything else. And I love trying a beverage. Like, I would get all of these. There's a Kylo Ren iced coffee. Ray has a soda. There's a matcha latte, a latte, which for Yoda, I'm in green, makes perfect sense. They're calling this an ice milk tea. I always used to call that bubble tea.
Like like a
Yeah,
boba tea style. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Bubble tea was always what I knew it as, and then a sesame shake. So those are all really cool. I would have look. You're there for 3 days. You can have two a day, and be able to try everything. One with breakfast, one with lunch, or whatever. There's other interesting stuff on the menu too. Um, Little like skewers and other tastes of Japan. I feel like give it a try. You're there. Like, please don't eat burgers the whole time you're in Japan. Like, try some of the local cuisine.
Yeah, I'd love to try the mochi. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. I'm, like I said, relatively agreeable. I'll kind of do whatever. So sort of go with the flow on those. Um,
Hmm.
and that was it for the food that they listed on the site. Now, I will say the rest of the Star Wars Celebration site, there's a whole section called Explore the Event. We've covered most of it on these shows already. We've talked about the guests and the photo ops. We've gone through all the panels. We've talked about all the exhibitors. We mentioned the licensee exclusives. Next week, we're going to talk about the app, the art show, the pin trading. We've already mentioned the fan groups, but we'll probably do a recap on that. This was the food hall. There wasn't really much, like I clicked into the food hall thinking, oh, there's going to be all this stuff. There's 2 menus. So I know there's going to be a lot more, but they haven't added stuff yet. There's also an anime and manga pavilion that still has a coming soon tab. I was like, coming soon, girl, the show's in 10 days. Like, what are we doing? Um, and then the kids corner. So the rest of those items we're going to be covering in next week's show.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after that, once the actual celebration event begins, we'll be on to our celebration nightly news. We're going to be on air that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 5 straight days, a variety of hosts from across the network, including me and Bryce from Jedi Archives, Ashley Brienzo from Daughters of the Galaxy and Clone Wars Revisit. Hey, Ashley. Sarah Barnes is going to jump in and help out. I may have a couple other guests. Star Wars Celebration. Yeah, CNN Star Wars Celebration Nightly News. It's going to be a good time. And a few other like guests that may pop in over the course of the 5 days. Everyone at the show is going to be sending us information and photos and telling us how the panels went. All the news collected in one night. Obviously, we're going to be keeping tabs on Twitter and Threads and Instagram, and we've got our Dropboxes and our WhatsApps and all that stuff, and we're going to be ready to hit the ground running every night to fully recap the day that happened, because they're about 14 hours ahead of us time wise in Japan right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, so a lot going on there. That's kind of everything for this show, or for this episode of the News Desk. Like I said, next week we're going to get into our remaining items and the rest of the uh, preparation for Japan, because everyone's going to be getting on planes. Basically, what I'm hearing is most people are leaving on the 13th.
Yeah, I know. I've seen most people seem to be leaving on the 10th, so people are probably taking extended
Mm,
vacation from work. So yeah, 10th, 13th, that week in general seems to be the week before.
yep, you can get
To
both weekends
acclimate
out of
and
it.
get your bearings. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it, because if you left on the 10th, you'd arrive essentially on the 11th, and then you'd have that whole weekend, and then the show starts like the 17th, 18th. So, yeah, it's a commitment. I mean, it's a long flight, um, but I think it's going to be a blast of a show. Even with like and look, we're making critical little points about the website. They could be a little bit better about giving us some information. But that aside, there's going to be so much to do. You have all these fantastic panels, a lot of different guests to meet, so much merch, a lot of shopping potential, way more food coming, not just the menu that we showed you. And of course, all of the VCN events as well, going to Disney, the Not So event, and just like hanging out with all your friends. Like that's the best part, I think, still is like just getting together with everyone else who just loves Star Wars.
And there'll be so many unofficial fan meetups as well. Like, no
Mhm.
doubt some evenings something will go up in a group chat to say, look, we're going to be here at this time. Anyone is free to join. So if if you are somebody who doesn't like talking to people, if you stand in a line in a corner by yourself, that's not going to happen at Celebration. You will get to know like-minded people, and with an event like this, you get out of it exactly what you put into it. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's the kind of thing where once you get there, you're just going to get swept up in it, and you're going to see like things organically popping up. Even, I mean, the 501st Bash is something that you need a ticket for. There are all sorts of other things that are going to be happening on the various nights. Um,
yeah, I
yeah,
should have more details on the bash next week, hopefully.
um, yeah. I'm starting to get the FOMO, right? Of like, oh, I wish I were going. But I think we're also going to have so much fun here for everyone who's not going. I know, Gary, you're not going as well. We are still going to be kept in the loop. I'm still going to be following on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. We're going to be in constant contact with everyone over there. A lot of stuff will be streamed. A lot of people are just going to be going live on Instagram with things as they're happening. So you can get a virtual experience. And I know there's some people who are actually like incapable of going for a variety of reasons. I have work and a bunch of other stuff. I know there might be people who can't travel that far. Maybe they have a health condition. Maybe it's a monetary issue. Like maybe there's any number of things. But you're still going to be able to have a great time following along from afar. And we plan on making that our mission here on the VCN to keep everyone up to date and make it as fun as possible for everyone who's going to be sitting at home watching on your computers.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned.
Yep. Oh yeah, and Chris has mentioned the running of the prisoners. Yes, the Narkina 5 one-way out run is happening. I've heard multiple people talk about it. I don't remember the day and time, but we'll try to find that information and put it in there as well if people want to watch
Do we
that.
have more info on the running of the hoods yet, or is that still TBD?
I haven't seen it. It's not us planning it, so I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I haven't seen anything about it either.
Sometimes they try to keep those things under wraps until just right before, so that way Lucasfilm doesn't stop them from causing a kerfuffle. There's that. Also, I got to be honest, like the Narkina 5 thing makes me nervous because people are going to be running barefoot in the pavilion. And while you were maybe able to get away with that in London, because it was one, the first time, and two, it's London as opposed to Japan, like my understanding, and I don't want to make a sweeping broad generalization, but I will, is that Japan is much more polite than Americans and British people and are not going to be okay with like a bunch of Americans running up escalators without their shoes on. Like, I don't think that that's going to be tolerated particularly well. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the country, but like, if you see signs where it says, please wear shoes, no barefoot allowed, like, or
Don't be
something,
that person.
yeah, I hope they throw you in prison if you take your shoes off. First of all, feet are disgusting, and keep them covered. And it'll work just fine if you wear shoes. Also, it's a safety thing. Also, if they ask you not to, you're in someone else's house. Like, keep your shoes on, please. I'm really that. Like, I feel that way because I feel like Americans are really bad at traveling other places and not having an understanding of how to behave. Like, we really are the bull in the china shop no matter where we go, where we flail and flop and just like cause massive destruction and leave. And they're like, what? We didn't do anything wrong according to our guidelines. So please, if there is any signage whatsoever about not being barefoot, if you're going to do the Narkina 5 run, wear shoes. Because if you do get in trouble or evicted from the convention, I'm not going to have any pity for you.
Yeah, and with something like that type of etiquette, you're not going to get 3 chances. It's one strike and you're out. It's as plain and simple as that.
Yeah, and look, they'll put that sign in English. They won't fuck around. Like they'll be like, "Yep, we told them," and now you're not only you're evicted from the convention, they'll evict you from the country. I hope they drive you straight to the airport while barefoot. That would be amazing. That's the only. We're gonna hear stories about this. I'm getting ahead of it now. Like, I'm very much a contingency planner, and I'm not a catastrophizer, but I will identify where I think there are risks and be like, hey, if there's a risk and it actualizes, here are some of the consequences. I'm very good at that. I've worked in product development for so long that you just have to be ready for that stuff, right? I see this risk and I see the consequences. So I'm trying to tell people as like politely as possible. And then I hear pushback all the time being like, "Rah, rah, rah." So now I'm being direct. And I was like, I really hope you get arrested. Like, that's my hope for you. If you do not follow the signage, that they arrest you. Like, it's not even asked to leave. Like, I hope there are criminal charges pressed. That is my wish for everyone who runs barefoot at the Narkina 5 run. One way out into the prison.
But I mean, with something like this, it only takes one dickhead to ruin it for everyone else. So, don't be that person.
Yeah. Also, it'll be quite ironic if you get arrested while doing the one-way out run. Like, that'll just make me laugh. There are a few things that could be funnier, right? If you end up in prison because of it, come on now. This stuff writes itself. So this is when you have too much time on your hand and you're overanalyzing every little detail about Celebration, where it's like, I have real concerns. I'm worried that people are going to like get into trouble and it's going to be a whole thing with the convention center and there's going to be fan uproar and people are going to just be real jerks about it. And they're going to be like, we didn't do anything wrong, even though we broke the rules that we were told not to break. Like, I'm anticipating that becoming an issue. And so I bring it up like, I know people think I sound crazy. I'm aware of that. Every time I mention this to someone, they're like, you're being ridiculous. it's going to happen. And I hate being right, but I'm going to be right.
For those of us who have been at multiple celebrations, the stories we could tell you, you would never believe us unless you were there.
Troy, celebration, arrests and riots. Look, there have been security issues at multiple celebrations, and at all conventions, by the way. I'm not just specifying celebrations. And Troy, I don't want anyone actually getting arrested. I want them to behave in a way that it doesn't even come up as a possibility. My concern is like, let's all follow the directions, and I think there's a risk there. I would love for us to come back and Japan's like, what a lovely group of people. We'd love to have you back. As opposed to, did you hear about the security incident where 45 men were arrested barefoot? Like, those are the two stories, right? Like, it's one or the other. They were either lovely or it was a disaster. There's no in between. And actually, if you're lovely, there's no story. There's only a story if it's a disaster. So, and I'd like there to not be. I'm just acutely aware of that one thing could really like mess it up. Yeah, I know. All right, rant over. That being said, we hope everyone has a lovely time in celebration. We have one more of these before we get into the actual show, and then we're on to Celebration Nightly News covering the show. So next week we're going to do all of our last minute planning. We're going to talk about the art show. We're going to talk about the app. As long as it's functioning correctly. We'll talk about the Kids Corner and some of the other things we haven't gotten to yet. And we'll remind everyone to be safe, to follow the rules. There's also some weird guidelines around cosplay, apparently, that we may get into next week as well. Really more
and
about
if anybody has any burning questions, next week is the time to ask us.
Yeah. Social guidelines, we're going to look into things like that. But we want everyone to have a great time. That's really the most important thing. Have fun, be safe, don't cause a riot, but have a great time. So it's going to be an awesome show. And I think everyone who's going, and now that we're less than 2 weeks out, are doing all of their like last minute prep, and like you can see the calendar filling up. I've got photo ops, I've got autographs, I'm going to this panel, I'm going to go do the run, I'm going to wear this cosplay, I'm going to meet these friends, we're going to this after hours event. It's going to be such a blast, you guys.
Yeah, it absolutely will be, and it will go quick, so make the most of it.
Yeah, it flies by. It always does. All right. So with that in mind, thank you everyone for joining us. Before I forget, please tune into all the stuff that's happening on the network this upcoming week. We have a new Clone Wars Revisited on Monday. The Nerf Herders are back on Wednesday. The watch along of the finale episode of season 1 of Andor, season 1 on Thursday on the watch along. And then we'll be back on Saturday for another edition of Celebration Newsdesk before we then get into the nightly news. And just as always, wanted to thank our sponsor. Oh my god, I'm blanking on all my stuff today because of I want to pull up the where's my graphic. I can't find any of my graphics right now. My hyperspace graphic. There we go. Hyperspace props. I want the code is NSVCSE. That's what I could not remember. Is a Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition. So at Hyperspace Props, you can get all of your sabacc chips for 10% off right now using the special code. They've sponsored our Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition event. So we're thrilled to have them involved, helping us with that event. And of course, you get your sabacc chips. So you can play sabacc at the event. That's the big thing, is you got to play sabacc with everyone at the event.
Get in there.
Yeah, it's Sarah, who was on the Thursday night watch along with me, was having a great time playing sabacc at the family vacation. She said she wasn't particularly good at it, but like no one was. So everyone was just having a grand old time and learning the game. And once you get the hang of it, it's very game of chance more than anything else. But it is a really, really fun time.
Yeah, but sabacc gets competitive.
Oh yeah, people go all in. I was busy working the room, so I didn't really get a chance to play, but I watched several hands, and it looked like a great time. So there'll be definitely some. So bring your sabacc chips, kids. If you're going to Celebration, I'm sure there'll be some games starting up. And with that, that's everything for the week. Gary, what do you have going on at Blob of the Hut?
So this week we released our interview with Rhys Hannigan, who was the Irish artist who was doing the artwork on the Bad Batch comic. Last week we released our part 1 interview with master prop builder Judah Escalante, who was responsible for bringing some of the MCU and the Mandoverse to life. And part 2 of that is dropping next week. Part 1 there was a crazy reaction to, but the stories that you're going to hear in part 2 will genuinely blow your mind. And also, he was kind enough to answer some questions from various cosplayers and prop builders. So if you yourself are looking to get into cosplaying or model building or anything like that, it's an episode you won't want to miss, because one of the best in the business is passing on his 20 plus years of expertise to you. So it's one that people will definitely want to tune into.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
He's amazing. Like the projects that he's worked on. I mean, we didn't get to mention it too much in the show, but we were just chatting offhand about his work on Wakanda Forever. Like, it was just, the stories could genuinely blow your mind.
I have to catch up on I was going to say listening, because I'm behind on all my content. With CinemaCon this week, I was keeping tabs on the news and stuff, and then with all my issues with my phone, it's been like one thing after another. But I got to catch up
You'll
on
get
that.
there.
I have to watch Pot of Rebellion, so I'm a little behind, but that is one of my goals for the weekend. Although I'm going to see Kylie Minogue tonight
You're
at
going to see
Madison
Kylie
Square.
Minogue.
Hmm.
There's one I didn't expect.
I love Kylie, and she is here in America doing a world tour. I mean, she really broke with Padum. Like, that became like the Padum Dum thing became like a gay anthem that summer. And I've been a fan of hers forever. In fact, one of my wedding songs is "All the Lovers," which was a big
Mhm.
hit internationally, like sort of a gay hit in America, like hit the club charts and whatnot, but not really a big hit for her. But here, Padum was like straight people knew that song. So I was like, okay, like this is it. This is now enough where you can actually launch a tour. So we're gonna go see her tonight, probably with like 30,000 other homosexuals. So
Nice.
and
You get to escape
like a
from the Star
spattering
Wars
of women.
universe.
Yeah, exactly. And then there'll be a spattering of women there too. But yeah, it'll be a fun time. So that's on the agenda for this weekend, and then after that, like tomorrow, I just need to like catch up on all my watching, listening, digital stuff, and getting ready for celebration, because we have so much happening on the network. It's chaos right now.
Well, I think from myself and everyone in the chat would say, have a brilliant time tonight and make the most of it, because
Yeah.
it is going to be a busy few weeks.
Yes. Yeah. Here we go. We are in it, guys. We are in the end game. So thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Follow along at the Virtual Cantina Network on all our social channels. Be sure to check out the Facebook page. That's where all of our breaking news happens. And as always, may the force be with you.